going on, everyone? It's Aaron here from GA Fan TV, back again of course with my match reaction after Dublin have just beaten Galway by 6 points in Pearse Stadium in the final game of the National Football League. Yeah, of course, here again with my thoughts and reactions after the game. And look, listen, obviously this game was a dead rubber in many ways. There was nothing on the line here after Kerry getting the win yesterday. And if I'm perfectly honest, I kind of wish I had watched the Tyrone Mayo game, because that looks like it was an absolute cracker with Dara Canavan coming in for Tyrone. But look, listen, obviously I will have the fan reaction show out tomorrow, so I will go into Tyrone in a lot more detail, in regards to that game. But yeah, look, listen, obviously Dublin and Galway, not the best game in the world in total honest truth. Dublin in the end probably with a bit more firepower off the bench, able to change the game in the second half with 2 goals from Sean Bugler and of course Con O'Callaghan as well. And yeah, Dublin just a little bit better at times in the second half in terms of possession, in terms of working scores, and Galway kind of ran out of steam a little bit, especially with the injury to Ian Burke as well at the end of the first half. But I suppose first of all what we will do is we will have a look at the teams that played here. So we'll start off with the Dublin side. So this was the team named originally. So Stephen Cluxton in goal, fullbacks of course Cian Murphy, David Byrne and Michael Fitzsimons. Halfbacks were John Small, Johnny Cooper and Robbie McDade. In midfield, Brian Fenton and of course James McCarthy came in for Emmett O'Connell there. Eric Lowndes, Kieran Kilkenny, Niall Scully, Paddy Small, Con O'Callaghan and Dean Rock. But of course, obviously, Brian Howard and Owen Merchant also came in as well for Johnny Cooper and Niall Scully. Moving on to the Galway team then, so we've Bernard Power in goal. In of course the fullback Sean Kelly and Sean O'Malcolm. James Foley in there as well. Liam Silk, Gary O'Donnell and Johnny Healy make up the halfbacks. Keelan Darcy and Tom Flynn in midfield. Paul Kelly, Paul Conroy and Jason Leonard make up the half-forward line. And then, of course, the full forward line was Robert Finnerty, Adrian Varley and Ian Burke. And yeah, look, listen, obviously, both sides were operating a blanket defence. You could tell, obviously, there was nothing really on the line here for both teams. Both sides very patient on the ball at times, especially Dublin having to really try and work beyond Galway when the breeze was against them as well, which made things very difficult for the Dubs. Dean Rock, of course, started things off with an early score, but undoubtedly probably the man of the match, especially in the first half anyway. Went a little bit quiet in the second half was Paul Conroy. Undoubtedly though, Paul Conroy was outstanding in this game. Hit 6 points in total in the first half. And kicked some phenomenal frees as well. A really well-rounded performance from Paul Conroy, in a game obviously where the likes of coming into the game, Shane Walsh injured, obviously came on at half time, but Damien Comer, Ronan Steed, and there are other forwards in that Galway team. Maybe it was a little bit disrespectful to the rest of the Galway forward line to always be banging on about Comer and Shane Walsh's injury. They do have other good players in there. Dara Silk, for example, Gary Sice, who came off the bench, very experienced forward with the Corofin side, Ian Burke, Robert Finnerty as well, of course. So yeah, very well-rounded performance at times in the first half from Galway. They were able to gather up a little bit of momentum after the first water break. They led by 3 points at one stage in the first half, but I think Dublin's experience really made the difference in this game. And Dublin were having to work scores at times. They were having to work hard. They were having to break beyond Galway's blanket defence system. And yeah, look, listen, it wasn't a great first half at all, was it? 9 points to 7 in the first half. Paddy Small hitting some good points at times for Dublin, probably their most brightest player. Con O'Callaghan had a couple of sniffs at goal, and he took the point on one occasion, and on another occasion forced a save from Bernard Power. And yeah, going into the second half, it was going to be, where Dublin going to really go for it here, or was this going to just fizzle out with the fact that it was a dead rubber? But certainly, towards the end of the first half, there was a big, little bit of controversy. James McCarthy with a challenge in on Ian Burke, and yeah, look, listen, I think that was a red card. His studs were shown, and I think he should have been sent off there. Ian Burke went off injured as well, so I think that should have been a red card in my opinion. Maybe the referee gives it as a yellow because he doesn't see the intent of James McCarthy. Maybe he didn't see his studs show, and maybe he thought that it wasn't deliberate by James McCarthy. He was trying to get the ball, but he definitely did follow through on Ian Burke there, and got a yellow. And even in the second half, there was one stage where he ran into Paul Conroy and could have easily received a second yellow card then, although it did look like more of a coming together. But interesting enough, McCarthy was then subbed off about 5 to 10 minutes later. Perhaps Desi Farrell fearing that he actually could get that second yellow and could have been sent off. But I did think he had a bright game, McCarthy. In the first half, he does what he does best in terms of controlling possession, slowing the game down. Brian Fenton the same. They were both able to slow the game down at different stages in the match. Cormac Costello came on, and although I don't think he scored, he did make quite a difference in the Dublin side. He was able to really break up the wing, support the attack, and obviously he was a large part for Dublin's first goal. He played it into Sean Bugler, who of course made the forward run and rifled it past Bernard Power into the back of the net. And from there, when Dublin had the lead, you knew they were going to see this out. Galway just didn't have as much in the second half going forward as they did in the first. Just 6 points in the second half in total for Galway. Didn't quite get to see the best of Shane Walsh. He scored a bright point at the start of the second half, but perhaps he's not fully up to fitness just yet, so we'll have to wait and see. And obviously it was good to see Tom Lahiff come on late on for the Dubs as well. He's a midfield option that could come into the Dublin team in the next coming years, with the likes of Michael Darragh Macaulay getting older and whatnot, so he could be a player to definitely keep an eye on. Obviously Conor O'Callaghan with the late goal as well. Nice 1-2 at the post, and then slotted it comfortably past Bernard Power to all but wrap up the game. And it's hard to read too much into this, in all honesty. It was a dead rubber. Galway very defensive, which was interesting. They had this all-out attacking approach under Padraig Joyce earlier in the year, and they now seem to have reverted to a blanket defence. Is that because of the pressure that was put on them after that Mayo defeat? Would it have anything to do with Jim McGuinness being part of coming in and taking a coaching session? We don't know. Maybe Padraig Joyce was just testing things out with it being a dead rubber, and of course Galway not playing for 2 weeks' time. They play Sligo in 2 weeks' time in a Connacht semi-final, which you'd have to feel they'll win, and of course 3 weeks until the Connacht final, which will really be their next big test. So plenty of time still for Galway to work on some of the issues that they did have. Definitely in the midfield is where Galway struggled for me in this game. Dublin were able to dominate and control possession, and Galway struggled quite massively. Didn't get enough from Gary Sice when he came off the bench, and as I said before, Shane Walsh in time will certainly get back to his full fitness. 3 weeks to go until the Connacht final. So look, listen, from a Galway point of view, you probably would be a little bit disappointed with the fact that they've lost both of the games since the returning from the lockdown, but they'll go into the Connacht Championship with a lot of expectation, and you would expect them most certainly to beat Sligo, and I still reckon they will win the Connacht Championship, but certainly Roscommon and Mayo looking very bright at the moment as well. I suppose just a touch on Kieran Kilkenny, great game as well. Kicked 2 fantastic points in that game. One very good one in the first half and one towards the end of the second half as well. Probably the best player in the pitch maybe for Dublin was Kieran Kilkenny, in my opinion. He did very well at supporting the likes of Conor O'Callaghan, and he done a great job. He had to drop into midfield at times, and I thought he was very bright indeed. I'd probably give Kieran Kilkenny man of the match for Dublin, although Conor O'Callaghan and Paddy Small probably certainly in with a shout as well. Michael Fitzsimons actually had a great game for Dublin as well in defence, bringing the ball up a little bit. He done quite well, and even David Byrne at times and Keane Murphy both quite impressive. But look, listen, good result in the end for the Dubs. They get the victory over Galway. Do leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. My name is Aaron, and I'll catch you in the next one.